listening to the MMA Brothers Podcast, coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Your source for UFC news, previews, and post-fight coverage. Hosted by your favorite duo, Daryl and Asher. Let's get it started.
Hello guys, welcome back to MMA Brothers Podcast. My name is Daryl.
My name is Asher.
And we're talking UFC post-fight, Brian Ortega versus the Korean zombie Chang Sung-jung. Right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, that's pretty much as close as you can get.
Mr. Korea, whatever. Anyways, so this is the way it's going to go. It's going to take you through the main card, the winners, who we thought was going to win. If we got it wrong, got it right, we're just going to walk you through that. So Jonathan Martinez versus Thomas Almeida. These are lighter weight individuals. I forget. Are they in the bantamweight?
I think, yeah, Thomas Almeida used to fight at bantamweight, but this fight I think was at 145. So I think Almeida moved up in weight. Jonathan Martinez was not a guy that I thought had, the skills to beat someone like Thomas Almeida. Thomas Almeida was hyped to be a guy like the future of the bantamweight division, but he had a few losses. And again, I guess the weight cut was too much, so he decided to move up. But yeah, Martinez won every single round. I remember the judges were really, really impressed by how well Martinez did. So,
and he stuffed so many takedowns, man. I was just like, this is ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. So as you can see, the stats are kind of close, but Martinez just landing the crisper strikes. And it was 30-27, I think, across the board for each judge. So good on Martinez. I'm excited to see what he's got for us next time.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing more I could add. So we'll move on to Claudio Silva versus James Krause. So what did you think about this one, Asher?
Well, another one that was kind of like, yeah, it is what it is. James Krause, he's an aggressive dude. He comes to fight. He did land some good strikes in the third round, but, it was one of those fights, first, second round, it was all right, right? You can see that there were 2 of 12 takedowns attempted by Claudio Silva, which is insane. He kept on going for takedowns. He thought, I guess, maybe that he could get him down and get a submission that way. But it obviously didn't work out. And, it was a good win for James Krause. I don't really have much to say. It was all right.
Yeah. So when I was watching this one, the one thing I noticed is you have to have a well-rounded game in MMA. Obviously, there's other examples of that, as we'll get into later in the fight, later in the card. But you have to have a well-rounded game in MMA. You cannot distinctly depend on one thing. And I think that Claudio Silva was just so outclassed on the feet in the first and second round, right? Because that's when James's gas tank was at an all-time high. Claudio was just trying to do his best to get in, work inside, and try to, uppercut thing, then shoot for a takedown. James had very good takedown defense, stuffing, 10 of 12 takedown attempts. And even when he did take him down, he didn't do anything with it. So it was a masterclass in terms of striking the first 2 rounds. The third round is a little bit closer. I'd give it, yeah. So the judges didn't get it wrong. I think it was, even just looking at the numbers, he outstruck him with less strikes. He threw 162 strikes, James Krause did. Silva threw 214, and James still outlanded him. So very good fight. I'm excited to see James's next fight because there's nothing I love more than a guy who's really good on stand-up and has really good takedown defense and keep it in the domain that he wants. But we'll move on to Jim Croot versus Modestas
Modestas Bukauskas.
Yes.
Right. So Bukauskas, I think he's from Lithuania, if I'm not mistaken. One of those
from one of the Baltic countries. Yeah, he's from the Baltic area.
I can't remember the exact country, but something like Lithuania, or Moldavia, whatever. Anyways, so Jim Croot or Jim Kraut, however I pronounce his name, both of them were coming in with hype, right? The Aussie came in and he had some good finishes in the UFC, and Modestas was also somebody that was super hyped. So this one's kind of like whoever who win the hype would continue, and the hype train would derail. So I was surprised by how dominant Jim Croot was in this fight.
And I wasn't, and I'll explain why.
From the beginning, he landed some solid leg kicks, and then even in the grappling exchanges, Jim seemed to be the much stronger fighter, even though Modestas did look like more superior in terms of physique. But I guess physique doesn't win fights, it's your technique. And Jim doesn't seem to have, honestly, he doesn't seem to have like the most well-rounded game, but like he's solid everywhere. Kind of like a Kamaru Usman, right? Like he's obviously good at wrestling, but Kamaru Usman won't throw anything flashy. Like he has the fundamentals, you know what I'm saying? So kind of like Jim Croot too. Is just like he just knows what he's doing and he does it at the right time. And that overhand right from like I think it was a jab and then to a kick, like he ducked, he kind of missed the jab and then went with an overhand right as soon as Modestas threw a kick as well. And now it landed flush, dropped Modestas, and then from there it's pretty much like, you know, ground and pound almost, and then the ref stopped it. So it was a good finish.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Jim Crute. The one thing I was gonna say is in stand-up fights, he does ridiculously well because he's an extremely hard hitter. Meaning, if he lands one, you usually going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? He just needs that one punch, as you guys can see. The one thing I would say is I would love to see him in a longer fight just to see how it goes because he is a very good stand-up practitioner. You know, landed 72% of his strikes, even though a lot of them were ground strikes when the dude was out. But Jim, you don't want to stand up and bang with Jim because if Jim lands one, it's night-night. One thing I was going to say is Modestas don't really know what he was doing with that kick that he threw because it wasn't because he was knee length away. You know what I'm saying? Because he got caught with an overhand. So that means if you're getting caught with an overhand, you're within like knees length away. You're not like bottom of foot away if I was to extend my foot. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I don't know what he was trying to throw there. And then Croot came over the top and just blasted him with an overhand right, dropped him. He tried to get up, clipped him again with his left hand, and then he fell back against the cage. And then it was night-night from there. But I just want to know what he was trying to throw. Was it like a kick to the body? Was it a leg kick? Was it a high kick? Like, what did he throw? Because his knee ended up hitting Jim in the stomach.
Yeah,
but like sideways.
I have no idea. Yeah.
You know, I was just wondering what he was trying to throw. But in terms of the future, I'd love to see Jim go up against like the 15th or something ranked guy in the light heavyweight division. He's got really very, very, very nice hands. There's nothing more I love seeing than a stand-up heavy light heavyweight because that's the weight class. As you get higher and higher in the weight classes, you pay, the margin of error gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? If you're a flyweight, you can afford to get cracked once or twice. You know what I'm trying to say? You become featherweight, you can still afford to get hit once or twice. Middleweight, yeah, welterweight, nah. Middleweight, like, you know what I'm trying to say? One of them's going to knock you out. Light heavyweight, definitely one of them's going to knock you out. Heavyweight, a glancing blow could knock you out at heavyweight. So, really excited.
But yeah, definitely I was gonna say the talent coming out of Oceania, like New Zealand and Australia area is pretty good. They have Whitaker, they have Jim Crute, they have Adesanya, they have Volkanovski, they have Dan Hooker. So it's just like
Kai Kara France too. He's pretty good.
Kai Kara France. You know, they have a lot of
Brad
good fighters coming out of that. Yeah. A lot of fighters coming out of that area. So it's interesting to see what the Aussies and the New Zealanders can do. But we're going to move on to the next one, which is Katlyn Chookagian, blonde fighter versus Jessica Andrade, the Pitbull, or I don't know, Bate Estaca, whatever.
Right, it's probably Pitbull and Brazilian.
Yeah, so Jessica Andrade, she's moved up to 125. She used to be the 115 champion. She got wins at 135 as well. So this girl can fight at any division pretty much the UFC can offer her, which is crazy because she's so short, right? She's 5'1.5". And then I think Katlyn Chookagian was like 5'8", maybe even taller, 5'7.5", around 5'8". So there was like almost 7-inch height advantage. And then there's also reach advantage for a blonde fighter. So the only difference here is just the power that Andrade had. She said she felt like Superman, how strong she was. Now she moved up to 125 because she doesn't have to diet. So the fight, you can look at the stats. Like, I could tell Katlyn Chookagian was trying to either, keep it at distance or kind of like, maybe manhandle her with her size, but it was the exact opposite. Andrade was one that was just picking up and throwing Katlyn Chookagian around. I'm like, man, Andrade is such a beast, man. But yeah, and then like the way the fight ended, like she obviously threw like a right hook to the body, and like that right hook, like to be honest, the messed up part about it was like it didn't even seem like she winded up a lot on it, right? It was just kind of off the break. She just threw a right hand
Yeah,
to.
but it doesn't matter how hard you throw; it's where you connect, right?
Yeah, if you hit them the solar plexus or if you hit them like in the liver, then it can do that damage. And sometimes you're just taking your breath at the wrong time, where you're kind of like maybe breathing out or breathing in, and boom, right? It just hits you in that right spot. You're like, ugh, and you could tell
Yeah, because
immediately,
because
Katlyn.
she turned around and yelled like "fuck," right? And
Mm,
then I was like, oh shit! I said, you better shoot for a takedown. That's the only thing I was gonna say to Caitlin. You better
yeah,
shoot for a takedown because I don't know, man. Yeah, I'll let you
she
finish.
she tried to throw a teep kick, but Andrade jumped. And so that teep kick kind of missed, and I think that was her way of trying to keep distance from Andrade. And there's only like what 8 seconds left in the fight or
Mhm.
something. So all she had to do is just survive those 8 seconds, and maybe she could have made it to the next round. But yeah, Andrade threw another one to the body, and then that was all she wrote.
Yeah,
So yeah,
man.
excellent win by Andrade because Chookagian was ranked number one, and I guess Shevchenko is the only one that's remaining because she's now the number
I
one
don't
ranked
want to
fighter.
see Shevchenko versus Andrade. Shevchenko would, oh my god. You know, like Shevchenko stand up. If you blitz Shevchenko, you're running onto a shin to your face. So like I don't really see. I don't know. Anyways, I was really impressed with Jessica. I wasn't as impressed with Caitlyn because I thought that Caitlyn would keep it at distance. Her distance management was pretty terrible. She let Jessica just come in, pepper her with kicks, dude. I didn't
Or
see
your
enough of that from
jab.
Caitlyn. Yeah, keep her at this. Well, like kicks also has distance management, right?
Hmm.
Push kicks, kicks that low kicks, because she's gonna keep moving forward. You need that lead leg to be working great if you're gonna keep moving forward. If I keep chopping at that leg, they're less and less likely you're gonna keep moving forward, right?
Hmm.
A la Brian Ortega and Korean Zombie. Brian was landing a lot of kicks to the. Anyways, I'll get into that after. But impressive showing by Jessica and Josh. Caitlyn, got to go back to the well. It's just unfortunate that you got caught to that specific spot where everything shuts down. I think she just needs to go work on her distance management as a striker and come up with different game plans. Switch to southpaw. If she's just, what I'm trying to say, like come up with a plan B if Jessica's forward momentum is too much for you to handle. So that's what I'm thinking. Kudos to Jessica Andrade. Do I think she's going to cause Valentina any problems? No, unfortunately, just because Valentina's ridiculous level, high level striker, right? That
Yeah,
I
I think Valentina's got that in the bag. But before we continue, look at those tattoos by Andrade. Damn, that tattoo artist, high five or, kudos to you. Especially the one on the forearm with like the tiger eyes or whatever that is. It's like, geez. But anyways, Andrade is a beast. I don't think she's going to beat Shevchenko, but we both agree on that. Let's move on to the main event of the evening. So yeah, main event. We got Brian TC Ortega versus Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie. It was number 2 versus number 4. And Dana said that the fighter that wins this one would be next in line to fight Volkanovski. So Brian Ortega is first time fighting in like 22 months. So it's been a while since he lost to Max Holloway, which is a brutal beating for almost 4 straight rounds, it seemed, and it was stopped by the doctor. Ortega took some time. I know he had an injury too, so he's obviously went to the lab and developed as a fighter. He became really, really, really patient and really good with his stand-up. Didn't really have to rely too much on his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu in this fight, even though he did land some takedowns. The fight started off well. Like Korean Zombie, he was one that was putting the pressure on Ortega almost the whole fight. Ortega was kind of fighting on his back foot, but he fought well, and he's also fighting in southpaw. I don't know if his right leg was messed up, that's why he had to fight in southpaw a lot, or his left leg, I
No,
should say.
so Korean Zombie landed a really hard kick in orthodox, bruised up his leg real bad. I think he landed like two of them, then Brian switched.
Exactly. So, but yeah, even though he switched, like he was just as good in southpaw as he was in orthodox, which was great to see. So, anyways, Ortega, first round, yeah, he won it. Like there was a knockdown, which kind of wasn't really a knockdown in the first round because I think he caught a kick. He caught Zombie's kick and then like threw a left hook at the same time. So it kind of like he fell while he was off balance. So maybe it was considered a knockdown. I don't know. But in the second round, that was definitely a knockdown. That spinning back elbow. Korean Zombie was on
Oh
route to winning that round. I think there was like what less than 30 seconds left in that round, and that
no, it
spinning
wasn't 30
elbow land.
seconds. There's a minute. There's a minute left in the round because after
Okay,
he got
well, it
dropped,
wasn't a
there was
lot of
still a lot of
time.
exchanges. Yeah. Then
Yeah,
then
yeah,
Brian
but it
went on
was in
top of
the
him.
last minute or so of the fight. And then that spinning elbow. Zombie was lucky that it didn't land with like the actual elbow. It seemed to land with like his tricep. You know what I mean? So it wasn't the full force of the back elbow, but still you could tell when Zombie went back to his corner, he's like slapping his face and just trying to like, shake off like the damage that he received from that spinning back elbow. Then the fourth round and fifth round was more of the same. Ortega was just landing his jab, and Korean Zombie just did not seem to like pull the trigger. I don't know what it was. He had Ortega like by the fence so many times. And it was kind of like reverse Woodley, where it's like instead of him being backed up on the fence, it was Zombie that was backing up Ortega. But for whatever reason,
no.
he just never seemed to throw as much.
No, because every single time Korean Zombie would unleash a power strike, Brian would slip it and then hit him with 2 or 3 strikes, an uppercut and a left hand. So like every single time you try to throw a power punch, he'd pay the price for it. I don't know what you were seeing, dude. Because every single time Zombie threw, Brian would either eat it and then return fire with 2, or slip it and hit him twice. You could even look at the strikes.
I remember the commentators even saying themselves that like he needs to throw more. Like I remember they were saying that like maybe he's the guy that like can fight well with a crowd, because he didn't seem to like just. Not that he didn't want it. He seemed like he wanted it. He just never like went into that next gear. You know what I mean? He kind of seemed like he was just in gear 3 the whole fight and not like turning it up a level. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the jab was.
Because think about it. But think about it. The spinning elbow landed when Zombie was coming through with the pressure, right? What else happened? Every single time Zombie was moving forward, he'd get leg kicked. And then he'd throw like a hook or something. Brian would slip it, land a flush left hand right down the gun. Boom! Zombie's like, whoa! Then he'd back up. So every single time he went in there to like have an exchange where Zombie usually dominates, he'd get clipped. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think that was also weighing in on him, on his psyche, because if every single time you go in to engage with someone, they're slipping your punches or they eat your punch and hit you twice back, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I think maybe Zombie was headhunting a little too much. Maybe he should have gone to Brian's body a little more. I know he did with the kicks, but Ortega was catching those kicks. I can understand why he didn't want to keep doing that, because he didn't want to get taken down by getting his kick caught. But in terms of his boxing, he was very, very head heavy with his boxing, but not the best Zombie performance. I think most people agreed that like he could have fought better, but then I'm not taking anything away from Ortega. He fought excellently. He's definitely an improved fighter from last time. And
I think he gives Max Holloway a really interesting fight now. That patience, that patience in his stand-up, the power, the snap in his punches, his kicks from southpaw, it was a masterclass by Brian Ortega. Didn't get gassed once, his gas tank was there.
A high-paced fight, so I didn't expect either fighter to get gassed. Right.
What do you mean it wasn't? It's still a 5-round fight. No matter if it's high-paced, low-paced, 5-round fight.
You know what a high-paced fight was? The Ben Rothwell first round. That was high-paced. It's like, yo, this guy is not going to make it past round 2, bro.
Yeah, he threw 100 and something strikes in the first round. But this is what I'm saying. When it comes to T-City, like, yeah, cool. If you're on Zombie's nuts, you're upset. I said Brian's going to win. I didn't think he'd beat him this bad. But it's just something to be said. I think Brian switched camps, if I'm not mistaken. Or he brought in different training partners. Something. He switched up something in his training and focused solely on stand-up. Because his jiu-jitsu is so good that it's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So he just focused on stand-up the whole time. And if I think that he continues to move in this ilk of being a stand-up fighter, you're done, because he's like Gilbert Burns. Yeah, take me down, I'll choke you out. You want to stand up with me? I can stand up with you, and we can and I'll piece you up from the feet too. So you pick your poison. You know what I'm saying? He didn't leave any big openings. I don't know if you noticed this. Chan Sung Jung's hands were a little bit lower, like he was fighting like this, scared of the takedown, right? Where T-City's hands were up here. So every single time Zombie would throw something, it's so much easier for Brian to cover up. Because when using southpaw, right, he's jabbing. Every single jab, this hand's like Colby Covington. His left hand would come up and guard the left side of his face on his jabs. That way, when kicks would come, he'd move in with the kick, but his hand's there. You know what I'm saying? That right hand coming through would go through his hand first. You know what I'm saying? It was just a masterclass of striking that I did not expect from Brian Ortega. So If anything here, it wasn't the lackluster performance of Zombie. It was the masterclass of Brian Ortega in the stand-up realm that none of us expected. No one could have told me that they're expecting Brian to piece up Chen Sung Jung on the feet. No one. Because
no one
Zombie
expected that, because Brian Ortega almost in all of his fights except maybe the Frankie Edgar fight, he always got pieced up on the feet. You know what I mean? Like, literally look up any Brian Ortega fight. Yes, he wins, but a lot of his wins were like Hail Marys. Like, kind of like second round, third round, he's getting beat up. Brian just throws up a triangle or just jumps on you, then you're tapping. And you know what I mean? I was like, what? So,
exactly. But that's what I'm saying.
So that's why a lot of people did not pick Ortega to win, especially in the feet. And in terms of submissions, like, yeah, he could have submitted Zombie, but Zombie has never been submitted before, and he's also a black belt too. So that didn't seem likely either. But I guess, yeah, the most unlikely result came with Brian Ortega just being a solid stand-up fighter all of a sudden. So good for him.
Nice good for him. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy.
But I don't.
Thank you guys.
I think, yeah, against Volkanovski, it's going to be good because Volkanovski can be taken down, and if T City is the bigger fighter,
and if Volkanovski takes down T City, it's not like Volkanovski's in the good; he's in the clear. That you're facing the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in your division.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting to see that fight. And if I were Max Holloway, I would just wait. Don't fight Zombie. Don't fight some Yair Rodriguez and Zabit are fighting. Maybe he could fight, what's his name, Calvin Kattar. In the meantime, if he really wants to get a fight in, fight Kattar. And then if Ortega,
I'd rather Max get a chance against the winner of Ortega and
yeah, maybe Max just take a year off because he has, he's been in a lot of fights, so he should rest. And then, yeah, he should just fight the winner of Ortega versus Volkanovski, because obviously there's a lot of controversy with the second fight and the first one a little bit too. But anyways, guys, that's our breakdown for this fight night in Abu Dhabi, Yas Island, Fight Island. So next we have Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Justin Gaethje, UFC 254. Oh my God, guys, we're gonna do the preview. I hope you enjoy it. We're excited for it. And there's just no way that fight isn't amazing. Like somebody's gonna get KO'd. I don't think it's gonna be going to the decision. But yeah, we're gonna hit you with that preview. Please follow us on Instagram, MMA Brothers Pod, and I appreciate all the engagement. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.
Yep. Nothing more for me to add. We out.
Thanks for listening to the MMA Brothers Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please give us a follow on our socials. You can check out a description of this episode for more, but don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at MMA Brothers Pod. We'll see you on the next episode.